Here we are. Hi guys, it's Sierra and little sissy
Imani.
and welcome back to my channel. So we just got finished hiking and just was just talking about stuff, elaborating on a couple things. And so our topic today is going to be about family. And that is like really our number one over or under God that we are really that really just is important to us and just something that we kind of wanted to talk about. We recently have been kind of just going through some deaths in our family that has just really have us thinking about a lot of things and just like, just looking at things differently and just thinking about things that we could possibly, just do to like start doing better on as far as like just, family outings and
Just some like
that.
self-realizations just of like the season that we're in. So
Yeah.
kind of just wanted to share, let y'all into a little bit of that. So
It's about to get cooking.
yeah.
Yeah, and so like it's a beautiful day here. We went on a nice little we went on a nice little hike today, so it just talked about a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
So
Should have been recording, but that's when the most precious times happen. Is when you're kind of just in the moment.
Exactly. And so and basically like we actually lost two people, is our great grandmother and our grandpa last week. So and
not in the same week, but pretty close to each other.
Yeah, at least a good 3 weeks to a month apart.
Yeah.
And so it has been hard for our family, I know. We personally didn't have a really big relationship with them, but we knew of them, and we've had some memories.
Experiences with them. But,
and so pretty.
This your show. Let me take over. No.
Oh my goodness.
No, but I think just not being so close with them kind of just led us to this. To making this video.
Right. So. Yeah. And just with that, it's just, obviously anytime there's a death, it is very a family impact. I feel like we don't really think about, what's to come after certain people leave because it affects everyone differently. I think for us, it was more or less just thinking about the future because we are the future, just the fact that we lost our great grandmother and our grandpa, it's just like you think in your head like later down the road like who would be next, my grandmother, then my mother, and then that's when our generation comes in. It's just like we have to kind of think about how that's going to impact our family and just like what it is that we want to contribute to the future. And
also just not only thinking about how we're impacted now, but like how Sierra was saying, just thinking of like our kids or like our grandkids in the future. It's just what kind of I guess system of family, like what would that look like for them? What would family look like to them?
Right. And so like I think a big thing for us is when it comes to the future is just like breaking certain cycles that we were growing up in, and just like what new traditions or just new things that we would want to incorporate in our family, things that we would want to break a cycle in, because there's a lot of things that with our parents and our great grandparents that we don't really think about what it is they went through in life until they tell us, but it's still not accurate as to like what was really going on because we didn't live in that time period. So we're still only getting a very little glimpse of like what it was, so because you still got to take in consideration the emotional impact that it took them to get out of certain places in their life, or how has it impacted them to where they are now and why they're still where they are, where they are. And so that's I think a big thing that like I definitely want to be able to change, and just just getting a really good insight to like she said, like our kids. I mean, I have a son now, so it's just things that I have to start thinking about of like what are things that I'm gonna want to instill in him to like take on with the family, because after I'm gone, like it's up to him and anybody that's under him to like take on the family. And so I think a big thing that I think we had talked about on our trail is just like the generation that we're in, and you know, you actually said a good thing just about like how God has placed us in a generation that we're in for a reason, and just like, you know, that there's a job that we're supposed to be doing within this time period that we're in. And, you know, I think so too, like a good thing that we kind of talked about is like, I think a lot of the conversations that we have, a lot of people in our generation don't typically, you know, think about or talk about. And so I think that's one of the big things in my channel that I definitely want to bring to you guys, is just like my thought process behind things. Of course, I'm not expecting everybody to agree with me in those things, but that's the difference between everybody. Like, we all have different opinions and outlooks on things, so it's always going to be my perspective on it, and always open, you know, to what you guys think, because you know, our outlooks on things is very impactful, like whether we agree or disagree. But you know what the biggest thing about it is, that it has you to think about things, and that's most important for me.
I think that's the most beautiful thing about just like people too. It's just, we can all like have different perspectives and different views, and that be okay. Like, it's okay to have your own way of thinking about things, but I think the most major key to that is just like being accepting of like just people, and just like willing to love them. But that's a whole different that's a whole different thing. But you know,
no, like I think that is, and I think the thing that for me specifically, why these deaths in my family have been very eye-opening to me, is because, you know, I've never lost anybody like so close to me to where it impacted me. And so it's just thinking about those things and like how things in life would be after that is just a little couple of things to think about. And it's just like, I know for me is that, you know, our upbringing was probably a lot different than many because of the circumstances that we were in, and just being military brats. So it's just like, it was a lot of, I feel like we had probably too much freedom. So I just feel like, you know, everybody is brought up differently, but, you know, we're all brought up differently for reasons, you know. And it definitely, I feel like, even into my adult life, I feel like has definitely been a learning curve for me, just thinking about the things that, you know, I've done in the past, things that I had to learn and unlearn, because not everything that, you know, we've learned once upon a time is always healthy. And so always, you know, transitions are always, can be, you know, rewarding at times, but it could definitely be a challenge to get that transition going, especially when you're not aware of it in the beginning.
I think you don't get the rewarding factor until after everything's kind of like done, where you're just like, okay, well, that wasn't as bad as I thought, or I really thought I was never gonna get through that, you know. So
and that's I think a big thing. I think with family, that's definitely been like very important for us, just because it's like, you know, the world is always changing, the people around you are always changing, you know, the people in your life, you know, as far as family, do change too. But the difference between that and the outside world is that they know you. They know, you know, they'll tell you more about yourself.
They know you like more intimately.
Right. To be able to, you know, just being able to like, you know, sit down and have a talk with you or whatever and just be there, because everybody has their own life to live, but at the end of the day, you know, in most situations, you can always count on your family to like, you know, be there for you. And I think that's really important. It's just like, you know, it's just that like, you know, even if you had some downfalls with your family, like, you know, just know that everybody's going through different seasons on where they are in life, and don't ever take that so personal to the fact that you can't, you know, build, you know, those relationships back up, because, you know, it's only just a season, you know. Everything's really temporary, you know, and until I'm 6 feet deep, like, I'm always going to be there for my family, you know. And that's just, were you gonna say something?
No, I was just boosting you.
Oh.
But no, I was gonna say also, like, kind of going off of what she said, like, your family is kind of those people who can speak truth and love into you in ways that other people can't. Like, there's certain things that only, like, I would let her tell me because I know she knows me like that, you know? So I feel like that's another important thing about just the way, like, family impacts you is just, you know, just having genuine people around you who really care for you, and not just because, you know, they have to because you're family, but just because, you know, this person has walked with me like my whole life and they pretty much know me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just really important to have those people who can, like, speak truth and love into you, and kind of give you that feedback that no other person really could. Like, I have very seldom friends who I can allow to speak truth into me, and it's not always comfortable having, like, my friends talk to me, but I know they're doing that out of love, and that's where it comes off a little different than just having a friend that's just like, well, I don't agree with this and that, and like, but yeah, it's just
and so, like, and I think that's you know, really important. And for those of, you know, people out there who aren't so close with their family, whether, you know, they are just no longer here, or, you know, you don't have a good relationship with them, you know, you probably can't necessarily relate that family's important. But, you know, I feel like even if that's how you feel, that if it's not with your own family, create a family, you know, because not every, like, I would consider some of my friends family, but, you know, they're not my blood family. But, you know, family is what you consist your family to be, not necessarily like family. So, you know, I want to be able to, like, you know, speak to everyone in this particular topic. And like I said, like earlier, it's just like, if you don't have a really close relationship and it's really not something that you can, you know, agree with, just try to find a way to be able to, like, come to them and make amends with them, like, even if you have to be the bigger person to do it.
Yeah, it takes a lot of being the bigger person, not just for their sake, but for your sake too.
Right.
Just, like, having to carry everything you're carrying, like, it takes a toll on you no matter how strong you think you are. I feel like or it's actually a fact, as humans, like, we were created to be surrounded by other people. Like, we were created for connection,
Right.
and so just to think that, you know, you'd be better off alone or isolated, that's not what we were created for. So that's just another thing to add on to what she was saying.
And like, you know, I personally have been through family, you know, things that, which is something we'll get into another video. But, you know, but through experience, like, I had hit, like, a really breaking point in my life, which I didn't even know was a breaking point. And so it took me literally to, like, literally felt like I lost everything, but I just lost myself. And, you know, it was just one of those moments for me. I was like, wow, like, you know, through all of that, here we are doing a video together, and, you know, we're going on with life. And that's what I mean about seasons, that, like, don't let a season break something that is very beautiful to have, you know, is a family. Because, you know, like I said, even if it's not your family, like, you know, it's always nice to be able to be there for somebody or have someone be there for you. And I think the kind of thing, just to wrap this up, is just the thing that I want to encourage you guys to do is to, you know, just, even if it's just, you know, to text someone that you love, or, you know, go out and see how everybody's doing, because there's a lot going on in the world. And I feel like, you know, if you're within our generation, or even if you're not, like, wherever you are in your generation and in your life, is that people are not always going to be here. And what is it that you want to start doing now that's going to, you know, help impact your family in the future? Was there anything you want to say before?
I think, yeah, just really taking the time to, like, just mend any, like, broken relationships, or just maybe going out of your way to form a new relationship would just be something that's beneficial. I don't feel like there's ever a point in your life where you're not wanting to belong or you're not wanting to be connected to someone. So I do encourage for you to just seek, just people who are like-minded. They don't even have to be like-minded. It's just having someone who can challenge you and encourage you, and just finding more relationships like that, and just not being afraid to put yourself out there, because it's not always fun, like having to like be vulnerable with people and like letting them get to know you, but that's the only way they know that there's depth to you.
Right.
So we were kind of talking about that too.
Yeah.
So like you never really know a person unless you share, or they share with you. So it's just something to think about.
Yeah. So just for FYI, guys, me and the sis will be having our own little channel. So this is obviously more of a serious video, but we have some nice little juicy stuff to talk about that I'm excited about. So definitely stay tuned. Subscribe if you're new to my channel. Give me a thumbs up if you kind of like what we talked about, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Bye.